Hi, this is Fritz of the NBA Economy Show. Just coming with you with the 2025 Knicks draft special. And I'm with a friend, Xander Foreman. He's a really good draft analyst. And hopefully we can have a great time reviewing the draft and seeing what impacts it'll have on the Knicks. Um,
Yep.
so introduce yourself.
My name's Xander Foreman. I got the YouTube channel Ball Up Top of Xander Foreman, mostly surrounded by NBA drafts, mostly or obviously NBA content. Been a Knicks fan basically all my life. I'm from here in New York. And yeah, I'm just really excited to talk draft, get into this type of stuff with Fritz here. And yeah, my first collab too. See how this goes. I'm excited.
Okay, so you say you're a Knicks fan. The Knicks recently had a coaching change. Um, what did you think of this last 24-25 season?
I know a lot of Knicks fans are very eccentric, like about the team, like it's boomer bust, basically since we became playoff relevant. I honestly don't think like last season was that terrible. A lot of people think because we didn't win a championship, we fell short in the conference finals. It was a loss of the season, but I think this is a season we can grow off of. We can add some more players, probably some moves we can make during the off season to get to the level we want to get next year. So yeah, I think this is a good building block. Firing a coach, we'll see how that goes, especially with all the candidates we have left to pick out of. But yeah, it's a good building block. We'll see how we are next year. But yeah, there's some holes in the team you have to fix. I think we could do it though.
Yeah, definitely positive, feeling positive about the next season. Um, without Tom Thibodeau, we've seen some new coaching candidates come up. Does any of the coaching candidates that are out right now are they? Or is there one that you key your eye on?
Well, originally when we fired Thibodeau, I was thinking maybe Mike Malone, but I don't know if that's going to materialize anything like that. Just because Malone has experience with an offensive hub in Nikola Jokic. Obviously, Cat not the same player, but with the ball in his hands, creating for himself. I thought maybe we could have built something off of that. Mike Brown should for sure be interesting. I think that is definitely something we could go after. And then I think some assistants too, especially Johnny Bryant, someone that has been in the Knicks system before in the organization. He knows how we run stuff over here. Um, I think if there was one main assistant I would go after, would be Johnny Bryant. And then for the head coach, Mike Brown is also a pretty solid candidate for me as well.
Okay, good choices. Good choices. Um, yeah, I just want to see. For me personally, I just want to kind of see change. Someone who's open to change, willing to adjust, willing to
Yeah.
take, willing to take input from others. I think that's kind of like the key thing for me on this next year. Having a coach who at least just does that, I think we'd be pretty fine. No matter who it is, actually. Um, all right, so that's for the Knicks. So that coaching change, it impacts how the team plays. How do you think a new coach would impact the draft?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it would impact it too heavily. I think like the pieces or the holes that the Knicks have on their team right now don't really depend on who their next coach is. We saw during the playoffs, Landry Shamet was getting big minutes, DeLon Wright getting big minutes, which when we were watching, it wasn't that bad. Shamet had his big moments. DeLon Wright was inconsistent at best on offense. So I think we do have to add some more wing help during the draft. I don't think it's um, going to be too much decided upon the head coach overall. We need wing defense. We just need production off the bench from our wings. That's I think that's what we need. I don't think that head coach really determines that too much, but I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, okay, all right. So we do. So we're talking particularly about this draft. Um, we see that the Knicks don't have a first round pick this season because they traded it in the Mikal Bridges trade. And I think they also had another. draft pick in the Mikal Bridges trade that went to the Nets. So the Knicks have the 50th pick in this NBA draft. But we know the draft, anything can happen. We know there are teams with multiple picks, so the Knicks could move up, and the Knicks could move down. The Knicks can add picks, and we know with Brock Holler, the draft is usually a little roller coaster.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so we're gonna talk a little general draft first because we're not 100% that the Knicks are gonna stay at 50, and then we'll get into like Knicks specific scenarios. So what's your thoughts in general for this draft class? Because we know historically sometimes say, hey, this is a weak draft or this is a great class. What do you think about this draft class?
Well, I think even since like last July at the beginning, or for me personally, beginning of the draft process, when I was first looking at the guys in high school, overseas, wherever you want, even G League in some cases,
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that this class was probably going to be top heavy. You have great guys at the top, obviously, Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe. There's a lot of great talent at the top. Trey Johnson, one of my personal favorites. But after that, kind of feels like it falls off just a little bit. And I think that is really expedited, especially this year, by all these players returning because of NIL to college. You know, if I was a college player personally, I'm going to take the $2 million, $3 million I'm going to get at college the next year instead of taking way less if I'm a late first round pick or an early second round pick. It just makes complete sense. The NBA is going to have to adjust to that somehow. We'll see how that happens. But yeah, it's top heavy this year, even more because of how the NIL has affected it. And then apart from stuff like that, just overall about the prospects, I think there's a lot of dynamic scoring in this year's draft class. Like I said before, Dylan Harper, I think he's one of the most impressive scorers we have in this draft class. And then me personally, my favorite, who's probably my favorite player, there's one more guy I'm going to mention later, but my favorite player in this class, Trey Johnson. I think he was the best at getting the ball in the hoop in college. Just
Mm-hmm.
as a freshman, led a Texas team to the NCAA tournament. I think that this class, what mostly stands out to me, has to be the dynamic scoring we have from the top prospects.
Yeah, a lot of scoring. Yeah, it's a very interesting draft because usually when you look at the draft, there's like certain you're looking for the guys who like kind of jump out the gym. You look for like those surefire players, but there are some really good players like throughout 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 the whole draft class. Like there's interesting players I think will be all the way at the back of the draft. So I think this is going to be a really interesting draft. Um, so we know that there are plenty of teams. Um, so there are, I think 59 picks this year because the Knicks have a forfeited pick in there. Um, do you and there's many teams who have multiple picks. Do you think there could be any trades associated with teams who have multiple picks?
I think there's for sure going to be some trades, probably early into the draft as well. A team that doesn't have multiple first round picks, but might just look to move the pick is going to be Philly at number 3. We could see them trade down possibly to maybe 5 to Utah, 6 to Washington, maybe even 8 to Brooklyn, just to trade down, get more assets that can help you win right away. This is a Philly team that is trying to win the NBA Finals next year. Then after that, Houston at 10. What's going to happen with the Kevin Durant situation? Is he going to be moved on draft night? Is he going to be moved before? How does Kevin Durant trade affect what we see in the NBA draft? And then also San Antonio, another team that's looking to get Kevin Durant. They're at 14. Could that pick potentially be moved as well? I think there's a lot of different scenarios, whether that's players, whether that's just teams, how their trades will affect what happens in the beginning of this draft. We'll see what prospects are available. I think, especially after the lottery ends, there's going to be a lot of probably non-underclass prospects available that teams would like to move up for right outside the lottery. The Thunder at 15, they're a win now team. They would not be opposed to trading that 15th pick to go ahead and try to get a win now type of guy. But yeah, a lot of potential trades. We'll see what happens. I'm definitely excited though.
Yeah, me as well. Me personally, just looking. I'm hoping the Knicks can move up a little. Um, we don't have a lot of draft capital going forward, but we do have second round picks, and maybe that'll you know convince someone to help us get up near the first round or higher up in the second. So those that's something I'm looking forward to. And let me see. And so what about, are there any big draft stories that you've been looking into?
Well, I think one of the biggest draft stories that kind of has materialized within the last week, I would say, is what happens with Ace Bailey at number three. Ace Bailey is a guy who, throughout the whole season, we believed was going to be a top three pick, the number three overall prospect behind Coop and Dylan Harper. But now, apparently, Philadelphia is going to look at VJ Edgecombe at number three. And then after that, what's going to happen with Ace Bailey? Because not only is he potential faller in this draft class, but he only scheduled a workout with the Philadelphia 76ers pre-draft, which is not a good sign because if he doesn't go to Philly, how far is he going to fall, especially when you have a player who's inconsistent? I think I could say that in college, how far is he going to fall? Now, only scheduling one pre-draft workout, it's going to be tough to see, but I'm going to be interested in that. And then the second one I kind of glossed over earlier is going to be the Kevin Durant trade. Is it going to affect maybe number two with the Spurs? I doubt it, but who knows? That could be involved. Number 10
Mm,
with the Rockets is going to be the biggest one, most likely. And then 14 with the Spurs as well. Uh, those are probably the two biggest stories right now. I'm really interested to see what happens with Ace Bailey, if he gets picked as high as three, or if we see him fall to maybe even 10 to the Suns or the Rockets, depends who picks there.
yeah. I was also interested in see if Igor Demon gets picked higher in the draft or does he fall? Other ones, Hansel Emmanuel, does he get picked? And where does he get picked? So it's like those are like two stories I've kind of been looking at as well. So hopefully we get those. We're gonna get those answers on the 25th and the 26th. So,
Yeah.
um, how do you like the 2 day draft thing? The 2 day.
Honestly, I like it. I thought originally I was like, is this kind of pointless? Maybe they're trying to get some more ad time, something like that. But I think there's a lot of possibilities that can happen between the end of day one and the beginning of day two. Especially last year, I thought there was a lot of players that slipped into the second rounds that teams could trade up for now that they had a whole night to discuss trades.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, we don't know what's going to happen. There's going to be some guys that slip out of the first round. There's probably going to be some trades discussed for picks like 31, 32. Maybe the Knicks can get involved in something like that as well, especially there's one prospect I like to them specifically. But yeah, I at first I didn't love the 2 day draft, but honestly, I don't mind it now. I think it's a cool thing.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of like, I think they had it in the ESPN office last year, but this year they like have it legit at night. Both of them are nights. I think last year was the second day was in the afternoon.
Yeah,
It wasn't in an auditorium. It was interesting. I'm glad they kind of corrected that because that was kind of weird last year.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And okay. And so we're gonna get to the next portion. So let me see. So we're at 50, but are there any players that stick out to you that you wouldn't mind the Knicks moving up for?
I think the number one guy for me is going to be Adu Thiero out of Arkansas. This is a player I've honestly fallen in love with. Pre-draft process. He's a guy. He's a late bloomer. He all of high school he played the point guard position. He was point guard size, but then coming into college he grew to 6'8". So he's a wing, an insane defender that has great guard skills, and I think he would fit perfectly for what the Knicks need. And if there was a guy for them to trade up for, maybe beginning of second round if he's available, it would be Adu Thiero.
Yeah. Also, let me see. On my list, there's a few. Um, Let me just make sure I pick one.
Yeah.
um, Let me see. 31. I'm hoping. I gotta go through my notes. Mine is going blank right now. Oh, Kobe Bryant. Kobe
Sure.
Bryant is someone I wouldn't mind the Knicks moving up for. Where he lands is kind of in flux, so we'll probably kind of get to that kind of later. Um, but the Knicks at 50. What what kind of players you think will be there around the 50th pick?
Well, first things first, you pray for Duke the Hero. I know it's crazy. He's most likely not going to make it to the 50th overall pick, but I just
Hmm.
think the fit is so seamless. But after that, like you said, Kobe Bryant, could that be an immediate Landry Shamet replacement? You know, one of the best shooters last year in college at Kentucky. Uh, Back when he was at Dayton 2 years ago, he was one of the guys that, I'm a college basketball fan, UConn. I wish that they targeted him. That probably would have been a lot better for us this year. But yeah, Kobe Bryant for sure, one of the guys. I would also throw Jameer Watkins out there out of Florida State. Very dynamic scorer, also has great size as well. Sion James out of Duke. He not the greatest prototypical wing size. He's a bit shorter, but really good defender and is a great catch and shoot player with the system that we have next year. I would also say maybe RJ Lewis, keep him in, New York. I understand his draft range is probably wider than what the Knicks are trying to look for at pick number 50, but I would say him possibly. And then last thing, probably Micah Peavy out of Georgetown, another really good dynamic scorer who also is a very talented perimeter defender as well, which is, I think, what the Knicks need.
Okay, so you are a Knicks fan. So do you think any of the players that you just mentioned could be in the rotation? Not day
Well,
one, but by
yeah,
mid-season. Do you think any of them could be in the rotation?
I could see maybe a Sion James end up in the rotation just because of what he can do on the perimeter defensively. Also, if you can catch and shoot in the NBA, you're going to find a spot. Other than that, Kobe Bryant as well because of his shooting ability. Like I said before, can he an immediate replacement? And then finally, maybe Jameer Watkins. That's probably the furthest one. Two main guys that I think can be at 50, and and Sion James and Kobe Bryant. I think if those guys are at 50 and we take them, we could see them enter the rotation. Maybe post trade deadline, maybe post All Star break. We'll see what happens.
Oh, that's pretty neat. Pretty neat. So yeah, so there is value in this draft. It isn't like it just um 50 is not a throwaway pick. Usually back in the day, like toward the end of the draft, you used to think of draft and stash at the end of the um draft and stash at the end of the draft. So we could see actually someone valuable come to the Knicks at number 50. Um, do you do you see any value in the Knicks buying another pick?
Um, Originally I could before all of the player dropouts from this class. I thought maybe at 50 there's going to be maybe an underclassman that we thought had high potential that we could snag at 50, but it's tough now. So many players returned to college, and like I said, the draft is definitely, especially at the end, it's getting a lot skinnier in terms of players I actually think can make an impact on the NBA level. So I'd say for right now, maybe not in terms of buying a pick. I think we should look at 50. We should especially look to trade up, but buying a pick is probably going to be tough in the long run.
Yeah, yeah, and with the last year, the Knicks brought on I think four players ultimately onto the roster, and they didn't get a lot of time. So it's almost like you're adding more rookies on
Yeah.
the squad. So it's not like you're just adding one or two rookies. You're almost like infusing like six players at once on the Knicks. So it's a tall order to for multiple picks to be added to the Knicks at this point. Yeah. So okay. Is there? So I did mention drafting and stashing.
Yep.
So is there any player you think who's maybe not there yet that is worth drafting and maybe bringing on at a later point?
Yeah, there's definitely, I mean, dang, to begin the process, there was a couple of guys I would consider for draft and stash. Draft and stash is at this point becoming probably a bit of an older concept. But yeah, but to begin the process, guys like Momo Faye, he's a big man. He was a guy that I believe could use some extra time before coming to the NBA, but I'm pretty sure he recently dropped out of the draft. And then there's a guy, Michael Ruzic, a guy I had in the beginning of my way too early mock draft. I had this guy in the first round. He's definitely not materialized to become that. And then outside of that, just like looking possibly, I'm not sure. There's a couple of guys maybe early that could drop early second round that I could see. Boguslav Markovic, from Serbia. He's a guy I could potentially see draft and stash. Um, I think he actually could be a pretty solid player over time. Other than that, though, there's guys, Rocco Zakarski, I would see come in right away from, where's he? I think he's Australia. Yeah, he's in the NBL. Same thing with Alex Tui. And then Hugo Gonzalez. Honestly, a lot of people believe he could be a late first round pick, early second round pick.
Mm-hmm.
He was, I mean, it hurts to say, but he was my favorite prospect coming in the class. I think he could benefit well from a draft and stash type situation. Um, didn't play like basically at all last year for Real Madrid. So if he comes in next year more prepared for Real Madrid and we're able to bring him on, I don't know if he's going to drop to 50, but if the Knicks decide to trade up, if we're able to bring him on, that would.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like with the G League, like there's less reason to just leave somebody overseas other than they don't want to come over. So like usually you could put them in the G League. With the situation now, like you can even like the Knicks ever since Deuce, they made it a regular thing of having the G Leaguers stay in the G League, but jump over to the big club and at least practice with the Knicks on a regular basis. So it isn't like the old days where we send you to the G League and you just sit there. Um,
Yeah. I think
yeah,
G League two-way contracts, two things that have definitely pushed draft and stash kind of into the back seat as of recently.
yeah. So now we have three two-way spots instead of two, and you have to pick new two ways every year now. So this is
Yeah.
yeah. So there's less than a need to do what we used to do. Huh. Okay, so that was pretty neat. Okay, all right. So if it's is there any players you hope slide? So you still have
Um,
50. You're
yeah.
still at 50. Um, but is there a player like between like 35 to
Like I
40 who
yeah,
you hope
like I said,
slides?
mainly before
Mm-hmm.
if a dude the arrow slides, oh my gosh, that would be the greatest situation of all time. But other
Mm-hmm.
than that, Kobe Sanders is somebody that was supposed to be probably a high second round pick. If he slides, that would be a nice addition to the Knicks right there. And then Jameer Watkins, Kobe Brea, guys are probably in the 35 to 45 range. If they just drop one tier down and the Knicks are able to snag them, that's a perfect situation right there.
Okay. And also, like, just a question, like for next year, we know the Knicks have a first round pick. Um, do you think with that 50th pick, would you be upset if the Knicks punt it and put that 50th pick, maybe traded it for next year?
Honestly, no. I don't know how the second round is going to look next year. If it is stronger, that would be probably the right decision. If the guys we want at 50 aren't there.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right. So, so if you had the chance, um, would you go up to the first round if it?
I It's tough because of what we have right now in terms of our draft capital. I mean, we gave so much up from Mikal Bridges. It's tough, but it's just the scenario we are now. I think probably no. The strongest move would be to trade high second round because we're now in a 2 day type of draft situation.
Hmm.
And the first round would be pretty tough for the Knicks to jump in.
Yeah, yeah. And what the Knicks did last year is, um, we had two first rounders, and then like split that was it the higher one, and then we actually got several in the second. So the Knicks like to pick high in that second round. Um, so that's
Yeah.
something to look forward to. All right, all right. So do you think there's a certain so let me just go into just a couple people into the draft and see what you think about them. Um, what do you think about the obvious first pick, Cooper Flag?
Cooper Flag is such a enticing prospect. I think a lot of people probably not a lot of people, but some people would say generational, the generational type prospect. I would not throw him there. He's going to be a franchise moving prospect, but generational. I give that to Victor Wembanyama, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Um, that happens once in a generation. Cooper Flag, though, what he does defensively, I think absolutely insane. The fact that he can guard 1 through 5 on the court, he's able to switch on everything. His shot blocking at only about 6'8" is going to be at one point some of the best we have in the NBA. Offensively, really great at finishing through contract, and he's really aggressive at the rim as well. The mid-range jump shot, I think, came into Duke. I was questionable, ended up being really good. And then the three-point shot, elite, honestly, this year, especially from what we expected for Cooper Flag. It's really impressive.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of looking at here at the comps, and the comp for Andre Karolinko is what I see. Like every time I see him, that's he looks just like Andre Karolinko. Um,
Yeah,
but
defensively huge. Yeah,
yeah, but it was the time in the NBA where they really didn't appreciate that type of player. So yeah, he's gonna get a whole lot more um, latitude than Andre Karolinko did back in the day. Let's see. Okay, all right, and you really watch a lot of college basketball. Is there who is your favorite NCAA team?
oh, gotta be got the or other side right here. Gotta be the Yukon Huskies.
UConn
It's where
Huskies.
my dad went. Been a Yukon fan, not basically my whole life. I like remember times back in 2014. Those were some fun times we had. 2014 team, I was Shabazz Napier, Ryan Boatwright. That was really fun. And then obviously recently, back-to-back titles. That was extremely fun to watch.
Yeah,
I got to see some games, obviously MSG, even traveled to, Connecticut, Gampo XL Center to watch some games as well. Yeah, for sure, the Yukon Huskies, my favorite team, will always be my favorite team, even no matter where I end up going for college. It's going to be the Yukon Huskies. That's my ride or die.
yeah, yeah. I love the UConn Huskies. Grew up in Connecticut. I haven't been to a UConn game, but I've been to like they have like a UConn up all night. Like it's like the how they kick it off. It's like a
Yeah.
big like
Oh, yeah.
I remember I did that. I remember my job gave me like front row seats.
Yeah,
So
that's
I did
cool. Yeah.
that. So I did that one year. But yeah, always love UConn, men and women. Like it's like for real. Like Connecticut is like for real, for real.
Yeah. It's crazy how like a not like a super small campus, but like middle of nowhere just ends up being basketball royalty. Like for both men's and women's, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's in the trees, and
Yeah.
then even like campus like you get off campus, you see like a couple like shops, and then there's like nothing. Like there's
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, but yeah, hopefully they do great again this year. I was it was great talking to you. Hopefully we can then talk again because like seriously, you did a great job. Uh,
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun.
great job on this. Tell us a little bit more about your channel.
I originally started with like football, NFL type stuff, but I think for sure my main thing is going to be basketball. My first love, basketball, is 100% that. Um, but yeah, started about 2020, what was it, June 2023. I wasn't really confident in myself, but obviously just got further. I feel like my voice is now more pronounced in terms of how I'm confident in terms of making my videos. But yeah, mostly it's NBA, it's college basketball, a lot on the NBA draft. I feel like that's a big moment in the NBA where you're able to just pump out your ideas, pump out content. Just infinite. There's literally infinite possibilities for the NBA draft. It's just so fun with that. But yeah, I just want to keep on going. I'm excited to see like potentially where it takes me. Yeah, it's just what I like to do.
All right. And where can they find you? Like if you have like a not only YouTube but also your socials.
Instagram, I think is or it is Ball Up Top Show. Then it is. I don't think I have no Twitter right now. YouTube, obviously, Ball Up Top with Xander Foreman. Those are the two main things right now: Instagram and YouTube.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I'm just talking to somebody in the audience. It's like Fritz, who are you taking with the 50th pick? Um, yeah, so like I said, I'm really hoping we move up for Kobe Brea. But if we're staying at 50, there's a bunch of people I would love to slip. And
Yeah,
what the approach I'd probably take is choose three or four guys who are supposed to be around 40 and hope they slip and
yeah.
pick whoever's there.
There's a lot of fun guys. Yeah,
Yeah, so Cam Jones, even though
Alex.
I know a lot of people would like more height. He was Tyler Kolick's teammate for 1 year. I think he's pretty for me he's pretty complete. Like he kind of reminds me of some like little shorter but like Victor Oladipo kind of reminds me of that. Um who else? Um Another one. I really wasn't. Somebody kind of convinced me that this is a pretty good pick, but Eric Dixon, Villanova.
Yeah, lead scorer
Um,
at CAA.
yeah. So big scorer, 6'8", a little short, but he can really shoot. He could pretty much do it all. I know like the build isn't exactly what people want, but I think he's really skilled, and I think he's kind of like a guy you could put on the bench and he could fill a few positions. So I really like Eric Dixon. Um,
What are your thoughts on like RJ Lewis? You know, St. John's, New York guy. Stay in New York, or what are your thoughts?
yeah, you know what? I think the Knicks really love bringing in New Yorkers. I think they kind of learned their lesson with some kids who aren't ready for the big city. So having a local New Yorker would be like big for New York. He has great size. That's something that we need. We have a lot of like players listed at 6'2", listed at 6'4", who probably aren't the heights that they say they are. So like
Yeah,
RJ Lewis getting like a for real size like shooting guard wingish player would be big for New York. Um, I
yeah,
think with the right coach, Taylor Jenkins, who's known to play a lot more of his roster, I'm excited. I'm excited for just allowing some of the young kids to play. If they do well, they'll get time. Like that's all I want. That's all I want.
yep.
Yeah, that's all I want. All right. And what's your outlook on the next season for the next season?
I think right now I'm pretty confident. I think that because of Boston most likely not going to be where they were at last year because of Jason Tatum's injury, there's going to be another runway for us to go ahead and make a push. We know about the Pacers. We've dealt with the Pacers these last 2 years. I'm still pretty confident that we can win a series against the Pacers, even though it's been tough the last 2 years. Injuries 2 years ago, and this year just not putting it together. Just tough. The
Hmm.
Cavs, not too worried about them right now. To be honest, I think they could have some internal movements right now. Maybe make some moves. So next year, if we're able to get some more wing depth off the bench, give us some more production. We stay with Karl Anthony Towns. Don't trade. I mean, don't trade him for Giannis. I know maybe if it's potentially there, I would like to keep what we have right here.
Okay.
I'm confident in what we can do next year. I think we could make the NBA Finals.
Okay. So none of the current rumors um doesn't move you. So like the name KD, the name actually KD, I'm the rest of the rooms I'm not even gonna go into. But like KD is like the main name right now. So that doesn't 37-year-old KD isn't the move.
Nah, not if we're moving Cat. If we're moving Cat for KD, no, no situation where we should do that. I saw, I think ESPN, they said like OG and Mitchell Robinson, which I don't know. I love Mitchell Robinson on this team. I thought he was big during the playoffs. But I think we should stay where we are right now. I know it's going to be enticing. This is maybe the greatest scorer of all time, but we have a system here we'd like to keep.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's hard to move on. It's hard to move on from what we have. When I thought we left some potential on the table last year and then not see it and just move on for it before you actually see it is pretty tough. So I couldn't like I wouldn't want to just like switch everything up when I thought last year we really had potential. So I think we're kind of on the same page on that one. Yeah, yeah, it was great talking to you. Definitely gonna have you back on
Sure.
again. You're doing big things. Please follow him. Yeah, so that's Ball Up Top, Xavier Foreman, and this is the NBA Economy Show. Again, my Fritz handles on Twitter. I do have an NBA Economy like Twitter handle. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.